Hey guys, today I'm going to show you a custom order that I have made. I feel like I start all my videos the same way, but what else can you say? You know, like, hey guys, thanks for being here. I'm making soap again. Again. But it never gets old, does it? Because there's always something more to see, even though the process is the same. You get creative with it. That's what I love about soap making, is because even though it's literally the same process over and over and over, there are so many details that you can swap up to make it exciting. So this one is a many layered soap. So there are some definite tricks if you're going to do layered soap. It seems like it would be fairly straightforward, but especially if you're doing tons of layers, you really want to make sure that each layer sets up really well before adding the next layer on top of it. Unless you're doing like a flame pour where you want those layers to kind of intersperse and kind of spike up. Or if you want just a chunky rustic look. But if you're going for straight layers, you really need to make sure that that bottom layer, the layer underneath, is set up. And apparently I didn't record that first layer going in, but there is a first layer in there, and it is well set up. The fragrance oil that I'm using is an autumnal blend. It is more of a bakery type blend. It does discolor slightly, but not terribly. There's not a whole lot of vanillin, but I found that bakery scents, even if they don't have a high vanillin content, which is rare, honestly, it's harder to find that because usually they do have more vanillin, but if they don't, they usually still tend to set up fairly quickly, which you want that for a layered soap. You want a fragrance oil that accelerates trace. Not to where it's soap on a stick immediately, but you want it to get thicker faster because you do want those layers to be solid before you before you pour the next layer. So for the colors, I went to my colorant shelf and I just looked for all kinds of autumnal ones. This one is Cantaloupe from Nurture Soap. It is a really sparkly one, so I like this one. But I also use Trial by Fire by Nurture Soap. I have some greens, yellows, orange. There's just a lot. You know, when I first started soap making, I was like, I am not going to be one of those people who buys from a bunch of different places. I'm going to be like a one company woman. Like, that's my thing. I'm going to only order from one company. But I didn't realize that that's really not always the best, because your supply chain is wrapped up in one spot. If you can't get something, or if they're out of stock, or if some reason your order is taking longer from one company than another, you know, you're up a creek without a paddle. So I have found, as a maker, as a business owner, it's great to have multiple sources to get items that you need on a regular basis. So some of the companies that I do order from, as far as colorants, I do prefer Mad Micas. That is my preferred colorant company. I've also ordered from Nurture Soap. I believe Nature's Garden does have micas now and colorants. The Sensational Soap Supply, they have beautiful infinity micas. Those are great. Brambleberry has colorants as well. So there are a lot of options. Wholesale Supplies Plus. As far as like base oils, it's so funny is because the questions that I had as a beginning maker, I get asked all of the time by beginning makers, and they're like, I just want one place to get all my supplies. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I thought the same thing when I started, but it's not that easy. Like, sometimes literally you're ordering from 5 different places, or some of the supplies you pick up in person, like at Costco. I get my olive oil, my avocado oil, my coconut oil, all from Costco. But then my castor oil, I found the best price is on Amazon. I get it in a big jug. It lasts a really long time because I only use it at 5% in my soap recipe. So it's not like you're blowing through castor oil if you're using it at a low usage. And then things like lard or tallow, I get locally. Lard I get at Walmart, and tallow, we're in farming, so we have some sweet hookups. I actually know a few people, and they're regularly getting rid of beef fat, so I render my own, which is delightful. If you have that opportunity to render your own, it's a really cool process. I think it's really empowering to know kind of how things work. Okay, hot tip here. I laid out all of my embeds that are going on top of my soap. I know I've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again. This way you're not fumbling as you're trying to put your embeds on. And you're like, oh crap, this doesn't fit there. Like, I didn't think about this. So I'm just swirling this a little bit. I know this seems odd or maybe superfluous. It's not. You can actually see these little swirls. When the soap saponifies, this little tiny bit of texture does add a nice detail. Even though there are embeds on top, even though there's glitter on top, it doesn't matter. This adds something. And even though it's not super visible now, it will be. So I'm going along with a little ball tea strainer thingy, and I added some poppycock. That's like a coppery, it's a really pretty color. That's from Mad Micas. And then this one is Sparkle Sunshine. That's a gold, not a copper gold, but a pure gold. Not pure gold as in it is gold, it's just golden in color. And I did this before I put the embeds on because I didn't want the copper and the gold to be on the embeds themselves. I wanted it to be kind of like a background type thing. So you got to think about all these details, and sometimes you just learn as you go. The markings I made on the side, one side, it's so funny, one side of the loaf, the little markings that I made in Sharpie, are accurate and the other's not. So if you look on one side, it is accurate. I'm placing these in a specific spot, partly because that's where I laid them out, but also because when I go to cut this with my multi-bar cutter, I'm not slicing directly through a melt and pour embed. My my wire cutter is not designed to cut melt and pour. So if you go to slice an entire loaf of melt and pour soap with a wire cutter, the wires will snap. And that is not a happy day. And I'll show you a little trick that I do when I go to cut this. This is Auburn Bio Glitter from The Good Glitter. I also have a couple glitter companies that I really love. It's important to me to have biodegradable glitter. I don't want plastic going down the drain. I just don't, for multiple reasons. It doesn't break down, little fishies, I don't want to pollute. But the Good Glitter is a great option. Mad Micas also has some bio glitter. Not all of their glitter is bio glitter. The Sensational Soap Supply also has a newly launched plant-based glitter that they have, which is awesome. I can't wait to try theirs. And if you can make glitter from plants, you are a miracle worker, my friend. Like, that is just amazing. So here I am. I get asked about this soap cutter all the time. And it's so sad when I have to say they no longer make this. I got this from Nurture Soap a few years ago. It's not a handful yet. It will be someday. There are the layers. So this batch is still warm from going through gel phase. I have a high percentage of solid fats. So they're solid at room temperature. They're hard oils. And I do a steep water discount, and I allow a toasty gel phase. All three of these allow for faster cutting. It's ready to be cut usually within 6 hours after pouring. So usually when I cut, it's still hot from gel phase, but if I wait, it'll be hard as a rock and I won't be able to cut it. So since this loaf is still warm, those melt and pour embeds are warm as well. So even though I cut a tiny little bit off of some of these melt and pour embeds, it didn't break the wires on my cutter. And you can see here how it kind of bled through a little bit. That layer was not fully set up. That's why there's that little dip. You can see it there in the orange and the pink as well. So that's what happens when one layer is not completely set up. There it is. That's all I can see now. They're so pretty though. I'm so happy with how these turned out. These are fully cured. I sent them off to the customer. She was super happy with them. It's always so satisfying to make something for somebody else and have them enjoy it. Like, I don't know. There's just something so satisfying. If you are a maker of any kind, you know what I mean. It just feels good. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, my name is Martha. I'm the owner and operator at Blue Haven Soapery. As well, you can find my Christmas products November 15th in my shop at bluehavensoapery.etsy.com.